Let's talk about one of our most anticipated films of the year, which was Late Night with the Devil. We had been tracking this film ever since it premiered at South by Southwest 2023. And then when we heard that it was going to finally be released a whole year later, ecstatic to watch it. We watched it right before we went to South by Southwest this past couple of months ago and really loved it, honestly. I made a review and then he explained for it, and then he explained where everybody's pissed at me for various reasons. Kind of funny. But let's talk about the references, a little bit more about the ending as well, and all that good stuff. Before we do, we are running a giveaway on YouTube. All you have to do is be subscribed and comment below your thoughts on the film, and that enters you into the giveaway. Also, we are going to be doing a giveaway on Instagram at the end of the week, or right when we hit 100 followers. So make sure you follow us on Instagram as well. But let's talk about Late Night with the Devil and our thoughts on the ending. So pretty much this deals with a late night host who loses their wife and then takes a break from the late night biz, comes back to it, makes a Halloween special in order to get back into the groove of things. They have a psychic, a skeptic, a parapsychologist with their latest subject, a girl who survived a satanic cult. Things go bad quick. The psychic ultimately dies during the show. We see the demon that the girl has inhabited inside of them take control of the show by the end of it and kills everybody on board here. And we find out that Jack may have been the reason that all of this happened, because we learned that Jack is also part of this mysterious elite club where the most rich and powerful go to in the forest, and that's where they do all these rituals and things. And Jack may have done a ritual that involved him sacrificing his wife in order to climb the charts and be the #1 late night show host. And we see that all unfold throughout the end of it. The demon that's inhabiting the little girl Lily knows who Jack is and says they met amongst the tall trees, which is implying that they met during this secret society and whatnot. And it's also heavily implied that Jack may have sacrificed something but didn't know what it was, but it in fact was his wife's life in order to climb the charts of being the top late night show host. So that's pretty much the ending right there. We see that Jack spirals by the end of it. We see that he has seen his wife throughout. The psychic initially got the reads of it. It seems the wife was sort of trying to warn Jack of what was happening, or it was the demon playing tricks with his wife's image, because the demon does in fact make Jack think that he is killing his wife at the end in order to relieve them of her suffering, but it is in fact the girl he is killing, actually Lily, and he awakens and he sees that this is all not a dream or a hypnosis of sorts. This is reality now, where he sees Carmichael the skeptic dead after the demon pretty much burned them, and then we see that his assistant dead after the demon pretty much twisted their head, and the parapsychologist dead after they pretty much got their head cut off by the demon as well, and the little girl Lily as well dead after Jack stabbed the little girl. So that's pretty much how the movie ends. It seems that Jack was tricked by this demon and in fact not given anything, because I don't know, how is Jack going to explain all of these bodies here, right? Unless they do have a recording of sorts. But that's not the case we're talking here. We're talking all the references and stuff that happened in the show, and let's get into it. But one of the biggest ones being, everybody's asking, who is this skeleton guy just sitting there that has now become a meme on Twitter? With the skeleton guy, I think is just a foreshadowing of what's about to come, which is death, darkness, and just horribleness, right? I think that's just what the skeleton guy is there to represent. And I think that us seeing the skeleton guy throughout the movie and all of that is just foreshadowing, a warning to Jack, something's coming and it's not going to be good. I also like the fact that Madeline's ghost is seen throughout, especially during the exorcism, during the parts with the TV and stuff like that. We see Madeline's ghost there, almost like trying to warn Jack as well that this is not a good thing, or being a vengeful ghost, knowing what Jack did as well. And that's something that we see throughout the film because of that. And it could also be Jack's subconscious knowing that his wife may have indeed died because of whatever ritual or promise he tried to make to this demon or whatever it is. So the directors have talked about how they were inspired by late night show hosts and also these supernatural specials that would come on and stuff like that. Many people comparing this to Ghostwatch. There's also some good references here to the Don Lane show, and also with the skeptic James Randi, who is sort of like the skeptic we see in the film Carmichael. Also Carmichael being this sort of rip off of James Randi is also seen throughout the Late Night with the Devil, when we see this whole spat between between Jack and also James Randi, which is also showcased in the Don Lane show, when Don Lane and James Randi actually had a back and forth similar to what we see in Late Night with the Devil over the whole thing about things being fake or staged and things like that. So I thought that that was a definite great homage to this and really elevates the film even more, especially I think if you grew up in that time and saw all of this happening or had some awareness of it, it sort of is a thing that kind of like you like, I understand that, you know? So I thought that that was a great way to showcase this sort of skeptic late night thing, which isn't new. And I think that it's definitely something great. Something you see a lot in this film between Carmichael and Jack is that they are fighting one another and they have a whole back and forth banter about this is reality, this is not reality, this is stage, all of that, which is seen in the Don Lane show with James Randi as well. And as you can see, it kind of does feel like the Jack Delroy show, right? You do also have the Johnny Carson incident with Yuri, another one who was trying to prove some things with some bending spoons and all of that. And Johnny Carson as well is mentioned in the film. It's like Jack Delroy's direct competition of sorts. Of course, Johnny Carson, one of the biggest late night show hosts that we've ever had. But it was cool to see all of those little references here from the film. And of course, at a larger scale, you do have the Satanic Panic, which was just about to start during this time, especially with the book Michelle Remembers, which is sort of similar to what the parapsychologist and Lily did, the book that they talk about, which is Conversations with the Devil. And so that was a book that sort of started this wave of satanic panic. And they also talk about that in this documentary, which we watched a couple of months ago, which I do have a review coming out for, which is called Satan Wants You, which goes deeper into the book and the massive hysteria that it caused. It gives you a little bit more in-depth about the book itself and how it came to be. So I thought that that was a definite big nod to that as well during that time. Satanic Panic, Exorcist film coming out, The Omen, you had Rosemary's Baby. There was a ton of things that were in the air to really have people spooked about what exactly is going on. And that's a whole other video I want to do about the Satanic Panic for sure. I also thought that the owl statue that the club had where Jack Delroy goes, and also the late night owls and the Grove owl and all of that definitely linked together here as well, pretty much showcasing that. One of the more interesting things I did listen to and catch up upon while rewatching the movie was when they showed the segment with the cult where they were doing the ritual. They said anybody who witnesses this ritual would fall for the spell and perform Abraxas's bidding. And so now it comes into play that this is maybe why Jack ended up killing Lily, because this was ultimately their big thing they wanted to do, right? They wanted to sacrifice their members for Abraxas. Lily was the only one that survived, and now she was sacrificed in front of millions of TV, because we're assuming that this is being broadcast live. So now we have Abraxas' spell being put upon all of these other people, and who knows what this ritual will entail. Lily also did tell Jack right before the exorcism and everything that Jack would now become famous pretty soon, but didn't exactly say why, because you can become famous for all the wrong reasons, and Jack may just become famous for killing a girl on live TV. That's definitely something of another note to take there, is that we don't know exactly what trick was played on Jack, and it seems like this is the trick now, right? The price of fame, sacrificing a loved one for it, is usually something we hear a lot about, especially with conspiracies and stuff like that. And it seems that that might be something that Jack did when he signed this deal, as we see him as well at the beginning of the film and also at the end of the film signing this deal to UBC in order to become this big host, this king, as he says, because nobody remembers anybody but the king, because people only remember kings, as they say at the beginning. So Jack sacrificed it all for this. So the big question becomes, was that actually Madeline? Was that actually his wife who died, or was it the demon just playing this cruel joke on Jack and using this to sort of push Jack to do its bidding, which was to sacrifice Lily in the end, complete the ritual that the satanic cult had? That did definitely look a lot like how the Church of Satan was portrayed, parts where they were in from Anton LaVey, which was a big thing in the past, and also the whole thing at the beginning showcasing the year that America had at the moment as well, with the Manson family murders and all of that happening at the time in Los Angeles with Hollywood and things like that. I think that's definitely a big part of what the film is pushing here, is that sort of fear that was running across the streets at the time. And of course later down the road you would also have other things like the Night Night Stalker, all of that, which is something that we're going to be seeing in Maxine as well. It seems that this is a big thing now sort of popping up. And I talked about it even way back when Stranger Things, the latest season's first part was coming up, that was a big thing that was sort of being discussed now, was the satanic panic of sorts. And it's always a time that satanic panic pops up is these uncertain times, and with things that have happened recently in our world, in our society in the last 5 years, we can name a bunch of things. It is a time when these things start to pop up and start to really take a grip of society. So that's why I think we're seeing more discussions of it. But I thought that this was a great film that definitely touched upon that and really showcased how it was to be during those times. So I do want to make a whole more in-depth video about the satanic panic, all of that, especially talking about Satan Wants You. There's another documentary about the Church of Satan, which goes a little deeper into it, which came out at Sundance, which is called Realm of Satan, which I do want to watch as well to talk about that. So if you're interested in that, make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell, because we'll definitely be talking more about the satanic panic and all of that came from this. Just wanted to make this quick video talk about the references here. The Don Lane show, Johnny Carson, Yuri incident, the whole James Randi, Don Lane debacle that happened, as well as the satanic panic and Michelle Remembers being a big thing about the film. And so the Johnny Carson and Yuri situation is where we saw Johnny Carson have this guest named Yuri who was going to perform a sort of magic in front of them and also bend some spoons, which didn't seem to go as planned as they did. And it created this whole tension-filled, cringy feeling to it when Johnny Carson just tried to figure out what exactly was going to happen when nothing was happening. It just made it so weird and all of that. I don't want to put the clips because YouTube likes to be weird with demonetization or copyright stuff, so I'll leave links for it below if you want to check it out. All of these things I'm talking about, from Johnny Carson and Yuri to also the Don Lane show with James Randi and all of that. So if you want to go check those out, I'll leave them down below linked if you want to watch the whole clips in their entirety. So I think that this film really does a great job at having this aesthetic as well of this sort of like late night show really going wrong, and not just wrong in a way that it's cringy, wrong in a way that it's just like so bad that you just are like flabbergasted that this is even going to air, and it leaves you feeling like, oh man, what's about to happen? And so I don't know if we have the clear answer to it or not, but I think that this whole thing just showcased how this sort of like satanic panic at the time was in full effect, because you would turn on these late night shows, and even up until like the 90s, 80s, and early 2000s, and it wasn't as, I would say, feverish as it was during the time that Michelle Remembers came out, and that book was like everywhere and everybody was talking about. Then you had the incidents with the schools and all of that, and it became such a widespread thing. But it still was sort of like that moment in history where I think we see it as almost this moment when people were losing their minds about what was real and what wasn't, and it was easier to fool and get people to think into these lavish and made up stories. Overall though, I think that Mr. Wiggles, this demon, played a cruel joke on Jack and made him do bidding, because I think that that was what they wanted to do during this whole cult of sorts, and that's the reason the demon stuck around to Lily, because the ritual hadn't been done yet. I think that Jack finished the ritual by killing Lily, and everybody who witnessed it on live television as well, and also in the audience, is definitely now eating that demon of sorts. It needed that energy, and it got it because Jack did all of this. And it might have been the demon that signed a deal for Jack. It might have not been. Who knows? But let me know what you think about Late Night with the Devils, its references, its ending, all of that. I could definitely make another video talking about it if y'all want, but let me know. I think I'm going to take a break from Late Night with the Devil for now until spooky season rolls around in a couple of months. I do want to rewatch it then, because it is definitely a Halloween classic, but we'll see. Anyways, as always, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell. We're on the road to 30,000 subscribers. We are so close to our giveaway as well. If you want to enter, all you have to do is be subscribed and comment below your thoughts and opinions, and go to our Instagram. Once we reach 100 subscribers over there, we will have a giveaway as well. So don't want to miss out on that. But as always, that's going to do it for me. I'll see you next time. Stay safe, stay positive.